Hey guys, this is Fall Cake, and I'm back here with another ranking video. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and I've been building this one up for a while. Today I wanted to do a Fears to Fathom episode ranking. Fears to Fathom is a really unique type of horror game in the sense that it is an anthology horror game where every episode deals with different characters, settings, and their particular story they want to tell. I've been in this game since it first released, since I first got Home Alone recommended to me on Steam, and since then I've been patiently waiting for every new episode's released. I've always played them when they first came out, and back when Woodbury Getaway came out, I had started YouTube, so I was like, hey, I'll just make a video on this one and then the rest of the games. And in the middle of it, I was like, huh, I wonder how all these episodes would stack up against each other with them being so different from each other. I think some episodes have a lot more to offer than others, while a few episodes may feel like retreads of each other. Sit back, relax, and let's get on with last place. It's unfortunate that the first episode is the weakest of the game, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It is more of a testament to how the rest of this game evolved and got better over time. So we'll commend the game as a whole for doing that. Home Alone is not a bad episode. It just has the least to offer, so I objectively do have to put it in last. Even though I also personally like it the least. I think it's the episode that is the shortest and the least scary in the series, and it also just has the least to do. But the game doesn't come without its merits, so let's get into what is actually kind of effective about this game. There's a few scenes in the game where you see a random guy stalking you and is actually able to enter your house. You can first see him outside your parents' bedroom window, which is a nice little Easter egg, and you'll later see him go up the stairs to your house while you're eating lasagna and watching TV. And if you decide to explore enough, you'll also see that your back door is open, showing how he got in your house. Why you wouldn't lock your back door while you're home alone, I have no idea, but I'm not the person in this game here. Later on, after you're done your homework and you go get water, you'll see a man outside your door trying to get in. And if your microphone is working during your game, which mine wasn't for some reason, he'll dart his head towards you and pay full attention on you, knowing that you're home. However, you might notice an inconsistency of what I said. A man's already entered your home, and now you have another man trying to get into your home. The way the story is told just doesn't make sense and it just doesn't flow coherently, which is also why this episode has to objectively be put in last. I still like the game, even though it realistically isn't ranking higher, but I do think it's worth checking out to see where this game started and to see how it evolved in the next episode. I think Northwood Hitchhike is an immediate improvement over Home Alone, with how much bigger everything is in scope. You have more set pieces, you have a lot more characters being modeled, you have a bigger story, you have just the start of the third act hiding and chase scenes with microphone closet hiding areas. There's just a lot more here that will become staples of this game series from this point on. Unfortunately, though, this episode still doesn't rank that much higher compared to the other episodes. I find the ending is a bit lackluster and the story is more hidden than in your face, with you finding a lot of these Easter eggs, like the coffee machine being stuffed into the car outside the hotel room you see that random guy walk into. You see the van that was at the gas station hidden behind the motel. You just have all these little Easter eggs to show you that you're being targeted and followed by these kidnappers and that it isn't just a coincidence. I think all that stuff is cool, but I feel like we don't get a lot of characterization with our antagonists, and it's just a random person. You could argue that Ironbark and Woodbury Getaway also have this thing of not having a clear, fleshed out antagonist, but I also think that it makes up for it with how the antagonists are used and presented in the story. The game has a few scary parts as well, like being watched through your window, the whole guy hiding in your closet with the after being drugged by the coffee, and patiently hiding in the closet hoping for someone to save you at the very end. I'll forgive the game on some of its faults since the series was still finding its footing. And I just think the story was pretty nice. Having being forced to stay at a motel because your car broke down on your way back from a gaming convention. I feel like that could be relatable to a few people. Some of you are probably going to be shocked with this placement, but I just want to get out of the way that I really, really wanted to like Woodbury Getaway a lot more. But like I said in the intro, it's brought down due to it feeling like a retread of earlier episodes. Just being stuck alone in a house trying to survive an intruder just doesn't do it for me the third time around. Honestly, my opinion of this episode would probably go up if this just wasn't the final episode of the series. And even then, it's not like you can just switch around, let's say, Ironbark and Woodbury, because then you're going to have Carson House and Woodbury back to back. So it just doesn't make sense why this story was chosen over a lot of others. It feels like you could have done something else. I will say though, this was the scariest episode. If you go back and watch my video on this episode, it's probably the most I get scared and scream at this game a lot. The janitor jump scaring you in the office, the tension in the elevator, the owner scaring you twice, once fixing the sink and once when you're looking around, the basement with the Ouija board, Mike scaring you when he asks you to go up to the bedroom. It's the scariest game in the series, I'll say that, even if it isn't the most scary to me, if that makes sense. This game is also filled with a lot to do, like fishing, the board games, like I just mentioned, and I just think that the game does offer a lot more by having a companion with you throughout most of the game. But unfortunately, I think that's also one of its detriments because you're not really feeling scared knowing that someone else is with you most of the time. I thought the set pieces were also really cool. Like I said, the office building, the pizza place, and the drive there was really cool. My main issues arrive with the main setting, some of the characters, and the ending. While this is definitely one of the more fleshed out games in the series, I think the house and the ending climax are a big letdown to me. Just seeing in an attic until you get the all clear from Mike was really underwhelming and just a bit more technically advanced evolution on Home Alone's climax and ending. I also think that the villain could have gotten more backstory as to why he was pretending to be the owner. I shouldn't have to theorize the motivations of a character for a story game like this. And I also want to elaborate on Mike. I did not like Mike at all. I thought he was really creepy towards Sydney, and it just brought down his whole character for me near the end. And I was hoping the asshole hiker would have been a lot more threatening too. I thought the asshole hiker was going to have a lot more to do, especially with him just being built up so much. But he's just kind of ran out near the end. It's obvious he's killed off, but just why build him up so much? Just give all that time you spent on him to the main fake house owner. I don't know. I wanted to like Woodbury Getaway a lot more, but I just feel like it's really underwhelming, especially for being the final chapter. Some of you might actually be confused as to why Carson House is higher than Woodbury, and it really boils down to one thing. It's the security cameras. You see, I'm a huge Five Nights at Freddy's fan, so the security cameras just put this game a bit higher in my opinion. But this game also has a lot more to offer than just looking through security cameras. So let's get into those. I genuinely really like the story. I think this kid house sitting over the weekend for a family friend, having to do calculus while being stalked by an ex-girlfriend, could be seen as really relatable, especially more to Woodbury Getaway. And I think that it has some nice scares in terms of especially the ending, being locked in a room, having to wait for your ex to get to your room before you can hide in the laundry room. I'm saying room a lot, I just realized, is pretty tension filled. And I think the build up to it, seeing her right out of the corner and basically trying to find out where someone is on the security cameras is pretty frightening. I liked it a lot. I also think that the backstory Claire was given, while could have been sprinkled through the story, I'm glad we got it in the end. And I think the stuff we were able to do on the computer, like searching up everything, the security cameras, and the fun little mini games we can do, were some nice ways to fill in the gaps between the scares. I also like some of the side characters, like the girlfriend and the homeowner, even if we don't get much from them. And I thought the market set piece was just really nice, having to go shopping. I thought that was fun. I really did. And you know what? It was still nice to have a nice little runaway thing at the very end. And I think everything built up in a nice way, unlike a certain other retelling. I don't know. I like Carson House. You could pet a dog. Being forced to go in the basement was pretty scary. So yeah, I think it's way deserving of second place over Woodbury. But I think y'all are gonna know what number one is, and it was never really a contest. Ironbark Lookout is so distinct and grand in scope compared to the other episodes that it's unfair. The forest setting and having a legitimate reason to go outside in the wilderness just always put me on edge and thinking that I was going to be jumped by a bear or any other danger, people, or monsters out in the forest. Being stalked and hearing the whistling while investigating the campsite made me shiver and sent chills up my spine. And the tower gameplay reminded me a lot of an old game I used to play called Do You Copy, which was a banger game, and the ending of seeing the cult and connecting everything back to the guy who hid in your RV from the diner was a cool string of ideas. I also really liked the fake out ending where you're chased a second time out of your tower and back to your RV. I'm a big sucker for forest horror games involving monsters and like cultists and stuff like this. So this game was right up my alley. Originally, this was my least favorite episode of Fears to Fathom. I just thought that it was just so outlandish and unrealistic until I saw a post on the official Fears to Fathom forum page that actually explains that this stuff happened. The IRL park that Ironbark was based off of in Washington state actually had a string of disappearance for the last few decades. And that kind of made me forgive all my outlandish clans, to where my biggest criticism at this point is the fact that the hiker you try to help just he just stops. Like you're interrupted by the park ranger, but you can never go back. You never get any closure, and you have to assume that the body the cult is burning at the end is the lost hiker you're trying to help. And I guess another minor criticism is that you don't really know who is and isn't with the cult, because it seems like Connor likes to flip-flop a lot, whereas like the park ranger definitely knows and might be covering up for him. But again, these are all just minor nitpicks in a content-filled, impressively built, effectively scary game. And yeah, that's in the entirety of Fears to Fathom. I hope you all enjoyed watching this ranking video. I would appreciate if you guys tell me what you did and didn't like about my opinions. And whatever you have to say, just put it down in the comments. I'll do my best to read all of them and respond to what you guys have to say. I'll see you all in the next video.